Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, another live episode of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies. The live video podcast for people looking for a deeper conversation about the films we watch today. Have a great show for you. Let's get into it. That's right, everyone. We are going to be looking at No Other Choice, Park Chan-wook's latest dark film, a contender for last year's Oscars. Didn't quite made the short list, but did not make the nomination cut. Anyway, before we get into that, I think it's time to bring on my co-host with the most, the man, the myth, the legend, my borscht bro, Mr. Jim Chaboyko. How you doing, my friend?
All this daylight. Oh, I don't know. I'm not quite used to having this. I had to change my makeup, the whole bit with the daylight and make all these adjustments and dust and things. But yeah, it is true. Weird doing this during the day, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not even tired. I'm like,
yeah.
What am I going to do with the time afterwards? Oh, right. Eat a meal like a normal person.
Yeah, exactly. I have the rest of the day. It's not 1 a.m. or whatever. Yeah.
Of course, it is Mother's Day, Jim.
It is.
I suspect you will be busy right after this.
Yeah, and that's
what's the agenda?
Yes. Yep.
You gonna tell us?
Oh, what's the agenda? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, I gotta call my mother and my stepmom. So that's usually, and she's out on the West Coast, so that's usually a bit of a long call. And then the kids are coming over, and we're doing dinner. And there's been a request for us to go see the late show of the Sheep Detectives, which is interesting for a number of reasons. Not the least of which, my buddy Craig Mazin, which I can call him my buddy because we had one Twitter interaction.
I think I saw you repost that.
Back in the day, the father of Chernobyl, one of the Hangover movies, and then The Last of Us, I think he was heavily involved with. And suddenly he's doing The Sheep Detectives, which seems, what the hell? But so looking forward to that. And apparently it's been getting good reviews too. So.
Your mom, of course, has passed away, as has mine. We are not spring chickens. that's it for anyone out there who's, whether they be a mom or celebrating their mother today. Happy Mother's Day. Now I'm going to move on to ranting about a couple of celebrities.
Another kind of mother.
Yes, Jim, I have a rant. With your permission, I'm gonna rant for a bit. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I know everyone will be surprised. Rob wants to rant about AI. I want to rant about this so much, I even wrote a script for it.
Hey, ranting could be your superpower. We could call you Rant Man. I just thought of that. Ad lib.
Robbie Ranter. Hey, it's Robbie Ranter. Okay, let me get into this. Let me pull up my script here. Where are we here? Yes. Okay, Jim, I don't know if you've been watching, but Sandra Bullock and Reese Witherspoon, two Oscar-winning A-list movie stars, have come out on the side of generative AI. That's right, Jim. Yeah, I know. Here's, of course, thank goodness we've got more ads. Yes, yeah. Sandra Bullock's asking us to lean in. Anyway, where was I? Right, yes. Telling us to lean into a world-burning plagiarism machine that's threatening the jobs of millions, including their fellow actors. I know, Jim, you're asking yourself, what the is going on? Well, Jim, film fans, I have some thoughts. Now, of course, we could just write this off as yet another example of a couple of privileged and disconnected celebrities shilling for big tech's grift du jour. But stopping there, I think, is a mistake. You see, these movie stars aren't just movie stars. They're also stupid rich, Jim. Bullock's estimated net worth, and I'll make sure I put a document with all my receipts in the description. Bullock's estimated net worth is $250 million. And Witherspoon's, that's U.S. folks, and Witherspoon's is over $300 million. Now, to put this in context, the minimum household net worth of the top 1% in the United States, the richest country in the world, is $13.7 million, Jim. Their wealth puts them in the top 0.1%. This means to me they're fully paid up members of the ruling capitalist class, and with that in mind, their position on AI makes a whole lot more sense, Jim. Now, of course, like every capitalist, they want their wealth to grow, and I think it's a safe bet that with widespread AI adoption, Sandra and Reese think their already obscene riches will get even bigger. But to me, Jim, even more importantly, no Rockefeller, no capitalist, including these two, wants their wealth to shrink. And this idea might come up in the movie we're talking about today. And if some of those riches are exposed to what I think is already looking like an investment bubble, they're going to fight to protect their wealth and their class position. And the fallout from that fight is always at our expense. So, I don't know about you, Jim, but for everyone out there, here's what I think we can do about it. Because I know that's what you're thinking, Jim, right?
Yes.
I'm so glad you asked. Number one, always be suspicious when these rich pricks want us to do something. Because rich people rarely push anything unless they profit from it. And honestly, if we aren't 100% sure how we and our neighbors, our fellow workers will really benefit, will actually benefit, just assume you won't and act accordingly. And I'm pretty sure this doesn't apply to you, Jim, but to anyone who's watching, who's listening, who stumbles upon it afterwards, Quit using ChatGPT. I know a lot of you out there think you're consulting with an electronic Einstein, but you're really getting advice from the digital version of Cliff Clavin. Just don't. Just quit that. Okay, like I said, I've got my receipts and some other reading and listening resources. I'll put them in the description. And, of course, don't forget, it's also never just a movie and Free Palestine. Anyway, Jim, that's my rant over.
Good. Yeah, no. Well done.
Anything, did you think I missed something or anything you'd add to that?
No,
I mean... Of course, with 100% support for my position, Jim.
I just, I love at
That's how
time,
Jim looks, so he doesn't feel pressured at all.
No, GDB's
great.
Whatever is great. At award time, when all these folks have their big list of thank yous and they thank the crew, I sort of, you're looking back and you're thinking, were you really thankful to the crew, or is it just something you felt you had to do? Do you really just hate all of them? Yeah, well, and a lot of these studios are immediately laying off people.
Well, they've been doing it for years, the last couple of years now,
Yeah. So a couple things. It makes you appreciate. And I'm wondering too, although bigger countries would probably be as prone to this as anybody, but I was wondering, you hear about this more to do with Hollywood and less other film centers across the world. And I wonder if this is just another reason to watch foreign movies, because they're perhaps, I don't know this, but they're perhaps a little less prone to doing, jumping on these kinds of bubbly trains, and I hear most of the, although I haven't really sought it out. I was thinking about this the other day. Is this an American thing, or is it infecting other places too? So it might be something to, for me to look at, of course.
Yeah,
but
that's an interesting question. It's certainly up here. Like here in Canada, I'm
thinking more of the sort of, as we're speaking, the Hot Docs film festival is going on in Toronto, and the Globe and Mail I was reading this morning is reporting that it's bounced back. It was on the verge of collapsing a few years back, which is good. And I have to wonder, maybe this be a good reason to watch more documentaries, because I don't think they would do this as much. They probably wouldn't just, wouldn't have, well, we'll see. And foreign movies too. So,
you know what, Chip? I think here, I'm bringing it up on the screen. Let me see if I can't find it. So the Fascination Film Festival was here in Winnipeg just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I did not know that.
I had a ton on my feed, pimping it out.
Yeah.
Here in Winnipeg. And let's look at the program here, because it was one of those things, if we were on, I would have included this. At the time, I would have included this in my rant, but I'm a big screw up.
They actually had a screening at the Inuit Art Center. That would be cool.
Yeah. Well, wait.
Wow. I'm sorry I missed this. I'm super busy at work, so I don't know if I could.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it was in my feed, not for the films, but where are we here? I'm a little surprised it's not coming up. I mean, a lot of great screenings, right?
Yeah.
You know what? But here we are. Panel discussion, AI and creative media. How we can do it with, I just about flipped my...
Oh my God.
Sorry, my lid reading this. And
Look
it
at
is
the panel, all pro AI people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, Leslie Clausen, Senior Manager of AI Initiatives and Services at New Media Manitoba Industry Shill Group. AI content creator and post-production specialist, Dhruv Bari. I mean, there's all these grifters, every one.
We'll take questions from the audience. You with the fake mustache. Say, this sounds great for everyone.
Well,
don't we all agree?
I'm really shocked that it was moderated by Alan Wong. Of course, he's the president of this thing, of fascination, multidisciplinary artist, and former president of ACTRA Manitoba. He's a f***ing worker.
Mm-hmm.
But like all these f***ing grifters, it's like, well, we gotta, all I want to do is, okay, where's your money coming from? It's industry BS. This is the practical benefits AI can offer creatives. It's like, what, to avoid paying another creative? Anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go. This remarkable thing celebrating film and Asian voices and that. And it's like, anyway, let's see how we can use a machine to steal those voices and repurpose them for, whatever shit they're selling.
So I think that would be a good point. Like, also independent film. I think it raises, raises the potential appreciation for independent film, assuming, that they don't turn to these kinds of things. But it's something to watch, definitely. And also, I was thinking too, in relation to this, is this going to sort of, if this calls into question the authenticity of movies, what does that do for theater? Or are we going to learn to appreciate theater a little more than we do now?
Maybe.
You can't, maybe
is
you can
your playwright on stage. Is your playwright daughter, Jim, going,
oh, exactly. Yeah.
This could work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
look at this. Shashank is up late in Chennai.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Shashank, he asked me to do him a favor a few months back, so I apologize for that. It's totally on my list.
Terrible.
I'm doing I got my 2 jobs right now, and it's the height of insanity. So my apologies, Shashank, but it's probably too late. But anyhow, you just wanted me to take a look at something.
I've disappointed Shashank as well.
Oh, no.
It's like, Well, Shashank, thank you for, even though we've both now disappointed in you.
Exactly.
In spite of it all. All right. Jim, let's, with your permission, I'm going to jump into the film du jour, with one of their many awesome posters. Yes, today we're going to be looking at No Other Choice. Where's that log line? A killer log line.
Oh, okay.
From IMDb. After being fired, a man devises a unique plan to secure a new job, eliminate his competition.
Sure is unique.
That's right, folks. It was billed as a film noir. It really is about a guy, a family man, who loses his senior job. He's, a manager, what we would call maybe upper middle class. And an American outfit buys his South Korean paper plant, and they cut the workforce 20%. Of course, this is usually the way it works with these buyouts. They buy it and they're like, ooh, how do we get the money? How do we squeeze this thing so we can pay off the loan that we got to buy this thing in the first place? So that happens. And of course, he thinks, oh, I'll find a job quickly enough. It takes a lot longer, burn through the savings. Family is threatened, including his wife, who has to go back get a part-time job to help keep the family afloat. Got a son, a daughter. There's a whole back history there. But I'll save that for the spoiler zone. And yes, he comes up with a plan to get back to where he was before. He finds a way. He finds a way, Jim. Mr. Chaboyko, is there anything you want to add to that log line before we get into the spoiler-free review and into the spoiler zone?
Well, if you had to wonder about the character's desperation, the family had to cancel Netflix. So that's a pretty good indicator. It was just kind of funny. It's mentioned a number of times in the movie that you had to cancel Netflix. So anyway.
Like, this is how bad it's gotten kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, Jim, why don't you give us your spoiler-free review, and then we'll jump into the. If there's anything you say that I radically disagree with, I'll mention it. But otherwise, we'll jump into the spoiler zone. And
just to make sure, I don't think Shashank, I'm not on mute right now. Okay.
No.
Good.
He was able to. He said, "No worries, Jim."
Yes. Okay. Good. Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah, this, I was wondering how to describe this earlier, like what genre that would fit into. You mentioned neo-noir. It's listed as a black comedy thriller. Interestingly, so is Begonia, which is another movie that we watched. The only two black comedy thrillers I've seen, according to Wikipedia, and they both have Korean connections. But this one, you were mentioning just on a private phone call last week, it was hard to watch. Yeah, it's hard to watch, but it's fascinating. It looks like it's made by somebody who loves making movies. There's a luxury to it, even though it's not about luxurious circumstances. There's all kinds of great fade-ins and fade-outs. The story itself is dark. It's very dark, but there's that element of clownishness almost. This guy isn't immediately good at his scheme, and so there's a lot of dark humor about that. But there's
laugh out loud moments.
Laugh out loud moments, and there's a couple of sequences that are just like bam, 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 almost like that. There's a comic timing in this movie that's really one character drives by Manju at one point, our lead character, and it's just from there it just sort of sets off the string of incidents, and yeah, I thought it was great. I ate it up. It's a default position to think that everything should be nominated, everything you like should be nominated for an award. It can just be great. It doesn't necessarily have to be nominated for an award, but it would have been nice for this to get a nod. I found it just incredibly watchable, super entertaining. I didn't really know how it was going to end, which is always a good sign, and fascinating. Like I thought this was just and it felt in some ways like a labor of love on the part of the filmmaker there. So, and Canadian connection, Don McKellar was involved in this.
Was one of the writers, yeah.
So, and these two worked on The Sympathizer, the HBO series with Robert Downey as well. So,
which is a show you have recommended to me.
Yes,
that is in now my to be watched list, but I have not touched yet.
And it's got some of those similar dark humor. We're bad at killing elements or whatever. So
the only thing I'd add, Jim, is the interesting. I guess it's a couple of things. It is hard to watch, but it's also there are funny moments, and this is the third film you and I have watched, Park Chan-wook's Old Boy and Decision to Leave. And I would say this fits my sensibilities far more.
Yes. Yeah.
The ending lands differently. Get more into that in the spoiler zone, but I found enjoyed this more than those other two films. I'm not saying they were bad. I think we recommended both of them. But here, I just, again, back to sensibility, One other thing I'd add before we get into it, it's an interesting development history. It is based on an American book by Donald Westlake called The Axe.
Yeah, that's right too. Yeah.
Oh, wait, what am I doing? I literally have. Whoops! Damn it! Where did it go?
Sad trombone.
There we go. I knew I had that. There. All right. But it was actually another movie, and we see it dedicated to Costas Gravis, another filmmaker, because Park Chan-wook was really to say, hey, I want to do my version of that film. So I got to admit, I now want to see that film. What got him going? What made Park, last name, folks, this is, I'm just going to use the Korean naming convention of last name, then first name. First name. But yeah, what got him going? Got me curious. All right, we'll save See It or Skip It till later. Let's, with your permission, Mr. Chaboyko. All right, if we move into the spoiler zone?
Absolutely.
That's right, everyone. The spoiler zone. Okay, Jim. Questions. So many questions.
I hope they're easy.
Let me, well, you know what? I'm going to start with a question, but I will give you my answer to give you an idea where it's coming from.
Sure.
What were you, when you watched it, what were you expecting? Like, did you have a clear idea of what you're expecting? For me, this is what I wrote. This is what I wrote down. A dark, funny critique of middle-class values in late-stage capitalism. Violence and laughs. But yeah, what were you expecting? Like, why? What got you interested in seeing this flick? I think both you and I were like, we were both looking forward to it. I can't remember if you're the one who brought it up first, or if it was me, or if you did, and then months later I was acting like it's new, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this?
I initially, when they were talking about it for the Oscar shortlist, that's sort of when it got on my radar, and then it wasn't. And so the sort of the urgency became a lot less because we didn't have to watch it before. But I think that's when it sort of came to our attention. What was I expecting? I don't think I was expecting it to be as funny as this. I thought I expected it to be, and now it is dark, but I thought the tone would be as dark as some of these sort of Korean serial killers, or these Korean John Wicks, Man from Nowhere kind of stuff that I've seen. Like,
or even just the movies we've seen of his.
Yeah, and some of the ones that I've seen on my own, but yeah, I thought it would be a lot. You get with certain sort of genres, you get a lot of that, a lot of posy stuff, a lot of a lot of good hair acting, and that kind of thing. And this one is actually, he's our Manju, and everyone in it is pretty fallible, and that's kind of a neat thing to say. See, there was no element of posiness about this, and so it was a lot sort of lighter on its feet than I thought it would be, and a lot funnier.
Yeah, it pulls off a trick. Like I got more of what I was expecting, although, like I said to you, it was harder. Like, it was still really quite dark. But it does pull off a neat trick that, because you really are like, I'm like, how am I going to sympathize with this guy? Or am I just, am I going to pull for him, or am I going to pull for his downfall, or am I going to, and the way I am manipulated as an audience member to, in a way, do both. The way they manage that tension, I was really I did not expect in the best possible way,
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Jim. What you mentioned genre. I mean, oh my God, what was the guy's name? Professor was on our show.
Oh yeah.
I bought his book, and
Yes.
I cannot remember his name. But anyway, I like his approach to genre, and it is a crime movie. It's about a criminal doing crimes for a reason. It is, and so I think it is a noir. Like, he's not a good guy. His reasons are conflicted, but it is a comedy. I didn't really see thriller as much as I saw suspense.
Yeah.
Will he get away with it? What was you like? I mean, you mentioned it, but maybe you could explore that a bit more. Like, what were you, when you think about genre in this flick, where do you place it? What do you compare it to?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I made a note of it on my phone here when I was watching, and I was thinking, depending on how the story goes, this would change sort of how I would classify it. So to explain that, I said, if it ends with him getting caught, it would simply be a crime drama, I think.
Yeah.
With some social commentary. If it ends with a success, I think that would make it more a critique or a satire or whatever of capitalism, like a definite statement on capitalism. And I sort of still think that him being, I don't think there'd be any other way out of it. Him being caught would just, there's sort of a beginning and end. There's the consequence of his actions. This way, there's no consequence of his actions, as we see happens quite a bit in today's world. And so we're left with, well, what does this mean? What does this mean for us? How are we to
Well, you know what? That's an interesting point. I think that's more like thematic, though. Like a crime movie can have the bad guys win. Chinatown.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas,
often do.
Yeah, and I think that's a big chunk of noir. Even if they win, it's a Pyrrhic victory, or they're damaged in some way. They win, but it's maybe not hollow, but it's not great. Although there is one character where it's like, oh, she did okay. I'm thinking of one of the wives, because marriage is bound in this too. But let's kind of go on that. I've asked this before. I'll ask it again. I'm not 100% sure what my answer is to this question, though. But what do you think it's really about, just on a story's perspective? Not so much the themes of the piece, but if we're to just relate it to Mansu. It's Mansu, right? Mansu?
Yep.
Mansu, yeah. If we're just to relate it to Mansu, what's it about? What's his journey emotionally?
Yeah, well, I think it's about desperation. But as you put in our thumbnail, did he really have no other choice? I can't remember the exact. I think, did he really, or was there really?
I believe it looks like this, Jim.
There we go. Really? Okay, yeah. Really, no other choice. Really. And yeah, I mean, he was working. Maybe, you know, they would have lost the house. It would have meant sort of a reduction in status and some of the things that he, you know, his idea of himself as a man who bought back his family's property, rehabilitated it, and now lives there, has sort of reclaimed the strength of the family in amongst, you know, there's a couple of aerial shots that show tract housing all around
Oh
it,
yeah.
and they've got a nice little house on a hillside with some woods around it. And at the start, it's almost like bookend to Don't Look Up. And at the very start, he says, "I've got it all." I have it here.
Yeah.
You know, there's sort of a nice saccharine barbecue scene with the family all goofing around, and it's
bright sun,
end of summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're almost waiting for the crisp fall to come down, and he says, "I've got it all." So,
including those eels.
So he doesn't have it. Well, I mean, he has it all, but the only constant is change. He has that all temporarily.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's a form of desperation, whether or not it's, you know, they're not going to starve to death, but I think it's a social desperation almost.
Well, I think thinking about what you're saying now, I would almost say it's really about how far a desperate person will go, and for what stakes.
Yeah.
You know, and he goes like, well, of course, he's just straight up murdering people.
Yeah.
Not to survive, not even my kids won't eat.
Yeah.
It is to, although his daughter, and I think we could, you know, maybe put a pin in the daughter, seems to be coded autistic.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But like, it's about getting the dogs back, maintaining their lifestyle, like how low the stakes really are. That it's all what somebody will go through. How far will one man go to maintain his position? You know, as I alluded to, or not even alluded, I just straight up said about Reese and Sandra.
Yeah.
People will fight to maintain class position. You know, and even later in the film, like there's Mi-ri, right? His wife?
Yes.
Yeah. Lee Mi-ri. Mi-ri?
His wife,
yeah. Mi-ri, yeah. Mi-ri, when she runs into a friend, now that she had to go get a job as a part-time dental hygienist to keep the family going, it's embarrassing. I know that feeling. Like when I left the city, a high-status position, a high-paying position, I mean, I still won't go to City Hall.
Oh, yeah.
You know, couldn't set foot on the property, get uncomfortable going around it, you know, just being near it. So I get that loss of status. But yeah, it's this guy, it's like, apparently he'll do a lot more than well, any reasonable person would. So I think, and I'm not sure if that's my answer yet, but what do you think of that? What it's really about is how far one man will go for how little.
Yeah. And then, you know, when I said desperation, I didn't make a fine point of it, but that's essentially where I was leading.
I think that's a great answer, though. Desperation. Yeah. He is desperate. It's what is he desperate over? Yeah.
And you know, that's the other thing too, is that you know, this doesn't really touch upon that, but a lot of crime, a lot of motives for crime aren't particularly logical, you know, and they're often born, you know, in here. Like, it's just like, oh, how dare they treat me like that, or how dare they ignore me, or I'm going to show them, or whatever.
Squalid. Years and years ago, Jim, I remember you mentioned when you're the editor of the Writers Guild magazine. And you're referring to another writer, a crime writer, who says, yeah, most crime's pretty squalid.
Yeah. And then you get that, when you watch true crime TV, like, this isn't, somebody died, sure, or someone was killed, but yeah, it's not particularly interesting or noble, or there's nothing to take, decent to take away from it. It's just kind of like, ooh.
And I'm not saying that's all of the film. It's almost like a sideline, but how easily the police are misled.
Yeah.
Like, he's made multiple mistakes. And even the actress,
oh, that's right too.
She is able to, it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he did this.
Yeah.
No. She seems to be the only one happy. The happy murderess who got her boyfriend in one of the best lines ever. Where was it? Don't call me ma'am.
Yeah. No, it's that first, there's it's pretty fascinating. Like, I was thinking about this one quite a bit after I watched it, and I was like, wait a sec, he could have done this and blamed it on her, or this never had this other plot line was not necessarily sort of used like a Hollywood movie might use it, etc., but the son's adoption, him being adopted and not knowing, I don't think they ever followed up on that, and they sort of were setting it up. It wasn't quite a Millhouse fireworks factory situation, but it was sort of adjacent to it. I was like, oh, this is gonna hit the fan, but
I read that as a conscious choice.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's just, by the end of it, we discover there's been secrets, that there's always been a veneer for this family. It's later, it's like, okay, she was a single mother, he was the son, and then later on, it's like, what about all those years you're drinking?
Yeah.
Oh, you hit the son?
And
crazy
being abusive too.
Paranoia? Pardon?
Yeah.
What?
And being abusive as well.
Yeah, exactly. Abusive. Then he stops drinking. She's like, hey, we've gone through this. But even like, so he's got this weird this I'm the man of the house and all this. But as you discover, it's like, well, actually, she was the one. Yes, she was a single mom, but she wasn't barely getting by. She was the one who was making more money. Sounds like she was actually quite independent. And later on, she's the one who's like, okay, we got to make some hard choices here. We've been spending as though this income, we thought Dad'd be back at work. He's not. We got to do some stuff. We're going to sell the house. We're going to, she takes charge.
There's one of the funny parts was when they're breaking the news to the kids. And they say there's too many mouths to feed, and then the brother reflexively grabs his sister a little closer, and he goes, "No, we're talking about the dogs." And I thought that was sort of
that was the good news. Now the bad news, comrades,
and very subtle too. Like, it was such a nice moment.
Oh yeah,
and this movie's filled with that kind of stuff. You could watch this over and over.
Oh yeah.
Notice different things.
Foreshadowing on a later question. Well, let me ask you this. Let me go back to my big book of questions. Let's dig into a bit more of the symbols and the choices within the story. One of the first. Okay, quick side one. Getting a little vulgar here, folks. When he gets bitten by the snake.
Oh yeah.
And then the one of his soon-to-be victims' spouse tries to save him, his leg's up in the air, she's sucking on the venom. I saw this. I did this in a play I was in once. Well, that makes you a doctor. But it's like, it's like, so is this like a blowjob? Like, is this...
Oh, like metaphorically?
Yeah,
Kind of, yeah. Well, it's certainly an intimate act. I mean, you can't get
lying down, leg raised.
Yeah. I mean, involving several different kinds of fluid, but
well, and this is right around. Is it before or after? It's after they've had the fight. Like, it's almost like his soon to be first victim. Well, I get kind of his victim, even though.
Well, he set the wheels in motion.
But yes, he set the wheel, even though he tried to save it.
And then she says to him, "You're an ex-Marine. You can only take 2 bullets."
But it is after that where she's like, lube me up.
Yeah.
You know, like it's as close as they come. And that leads me to my first real question. Why paper? Why are these paper men? Why are these pulp men? Because everyone got this Pulp Man of the Year award.
Yeah.
Why do you like what's your thinking there?
I think because it's looking at amongst all the industries that are sort of hanging on by a fingernail, paper is one, apparently. A quick aside, I think they did more with the paper industry in this movie than The Office ever does, in 9 years. Like, what they did with it, they incorporated into the script. They did all kinds of stuff with it. There
was at least one paper company in the 8 million company logos at the end of the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a line that says, "Your lips are softer than Akamoto tracing paper." And the whole movie
says, she says a different logo or a different company, and he goes, "That's a condom maker, Akamoto."
Oh, but they do all kinds of stuff with that. Anyway, but I think it's one of those, like many industries, it's one of the ones that are not, facing a shaky future, and so they needed some way, some way to sort of describe the journey of, the economic journey of these middle class folks.
I wonder if it's facing that. It's paper, not buggy. It's not buggy whips. We actually still do use paper. Tons of it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's something else, because the way they talk about paper, like they all 4 of these guys, including the final victim, the guy he's going to kill so that he can take his job. They're all like really passionate about the texture and watermarking and all this stuff. Like they are like keen on it to a point where it's like there's a creative thing going on, but they are all pulp men. And you think about how paper's made. You're taking a tree, like we see at the end with the, our demand for trees has not stopped. That has only grown, and they strip it and they mush it up. They pulp it to press it back into a thing.
Yeah. I mean, whether or not the industry is on its last legs, but they're relying less on manpower, right? Because they don't even have lights, right, at the end, because there's he's the one that they turn the lights on for at the very end, and then they shut off when he's got his little tablet. So he's got his victory, right? It's almost like the end of The Graduate, but he's sort of like kind of at the end, he's like, okay, so I got it. And there's seems to be a little, I don't know if it's disappointment, but I wonder if how long he's going to last anyway. That's at the place.
So that's how you read the end, eh? That he was You know what? I was more.
It's a very social job. Like he had a sort of a team around him and stuff, and you know, he's no longer the leader of men, he's the presser of buttons, you know, and I maybe there's an anti-climax for him in this.
I more read the emotional hit on his wife and his son.
You
know,
remind me what
well, okay, so his wife spends that last minute. Finally, she actually gets to hear her daughter play.
Oh, yeah.
Because the dogs are back, and the daughter apparently has always played for the dogs.
Yeah.
Which just blows my mind. And she gets to listen, which is a great, beautiful moment in what's otherwise, her son, but she's keeping a secret from her son because it's all now, the secrets are now compounding on top of each other. And, well, they're not coming out. They're layering, right? Like it, you know, she lies to, you know, to protect him from this man who she's, by this time, she's like, yeah, I'm in too deep. Yeah, that's your dad, period. You know, it like, because I think that's, we hear about this to kind of have that argument, to have this end, you know, because now she has helped cover up for a crime. So yeah, I think like he's happy. He's got a job. I don't even think he has a social status, but I don't think it was ever his coworkers. I don't think he cared about them. He doesn't hang with them. He doesn't socialize with them. He socializes perhaps with peers. Kind of. But these are the same people he's fucking murdering.
There's some ambivalence at the end, though, and I sort of, you know, I wonder. I mean, it could be several things.
Yeah.
All based on interpretation, but I've heard.
Yeah, no, he reads a read, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You've
and
heard
then the
so
final
you've heard
over the
people.
credits, it's just machinery destroying a forest.
Well, like there he is, surrounded by machines. Just another machine.
But you know, he does talk earlier about having to fire, and I don't think he had to do this. I think it was already underway. But you know, he said, "You mean I'm going to have to fire the folks that taught me and that had spent their lives in the factory?" And there's even an interesting sort of a.
Did you read that as sincere?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also a shot, like there's some love for the industry there. There's I guess some sort of test that they do, and they have their paper rolls, and they take a wooden stick, and they bang it, I guess, to see if there's air bubbles in or you know, or whatever. And they say, well, you're not going to have to do that anymore. And yet, after they say this to him, he's still doing it, right? And it's very much, you know,
I read that let's say, because I think art is a chunk of this movie. There's a thematic thing going on there. Like the daughter isn't a great cellist for nothing. But there's also an art to what they do. Like him and his victims. And I think that's the final, because that's the person, it's the stick of authority, it's the stick of expertise, it's the stick of the art, craft art, you know, how it's supposed to feel and how it's supposed to sound. It's
well, yeah, and that goes into the love of it, the love of the industry, right? So it was kind of
but I didn't think it was the love of other people.
No, I mean, I'm sort of guessing, but in terms of like how to explain his sort of ambivalence at the end, or is not, you know, he's happy on one hand, but then, you know, you get a sense that there's something else going on there too.
Or maybe he's like, oh, when do they just get a machine to bring me in? He's done a lot, and he's still. I think I said it in our conversation, but even more so now. I think in many respects, he as a character embodies the ethic, the morality of capitalism. There's a great moment. Yeah. Well, but it is. There's a morality to capitalism, and it would be it's just business. Firing people, just business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we gotta eliminate 20% of the workforce. There's that great moment where his wife hasn't figured out what he's up to, or even is suspicious of what he's up to, and she's like, slay them all. And he's like, oh.
A little close, yeah.
But that's the language that's used.
Mm-hmm.
Kill the competition, eliminate the competition, because that is the goal of every business. It's not for all the capitalist enterprise, the business wants to maximize the profits, and it can do that a number of ways, but definitely one of it is eliminating the competition, in part because if you don't eliminate them, they get bigger, and then all of a sudden they have power over you. They're the ones who can eliminate you.
Mm-hmm.
And even his plan, which is kill the guy to steal his job and then eliminate the possible competitors, that's a business move. That's hey, how do we put him under to take over his market share?
Taken to the extreme.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, he is a man that embodies that ethic right down to individual workers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things at the very beginning, he's doing that kind of speech, even though it doesn't seem to realize he's one of the ones who's on the block. You know, it's the other guys.
Did they give
you the eel? Yeah. But before that, he's like, you know, when he's doing a speech to his fellow workers, trying to wind them up while they're all just sitting there, what are you talking to us for? And he's like, we promised. Yeah. we didn't get a union because you promised. We said no to the union because you promised you wouldn't fuck us over. And I'm like, well, there's your first problem. You know, dude, you know. And now at the end, at the end of his job, the beginning of the movie, when he actually needs some solidarity, when maybe something could be done, well, that's already been destroyed.
Yeah.
There isn't any. And that is, I think it starts on that because that's who he is. He is the true capitalist man. Right down to his whole identity is based on status, you know, consumption, and it's all these losses are all consumption losses. Whereas poor Miri, you know, the one who's like, okay, well, we got to do this. We got to take care of these things. And unlike Mensu, she is embarrassing as it is at times. She's doing what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, she's desperate to hang out with these people, but she's like, well, you know what? This is what's got to be done. I've run into people I don't want to give a time of day, but it's like, what do?
Yeah.
You know, you move on with life, right?
Quit the tennis club and
yeah. Yeah, I don't play tennis anymore. Should we do a pig roast? I'm not sure I'd be able to think about apples the same way, Jim.
Yeah.
Or pears.
Yeah.
Let's come back to that. How did you read? Because it isn't just paper. Paper is a product from trees, but it is there's this weird kind of farming idea, a pig farm, which is always kind of, have you been on a pig farm?
Yeah, I've driven by them mostly.
Yeah, tell that. I've been on it, but this idea that it's a farm where, like any other farm, where things grow to the ground is one of the biggest scams. It's like any other high intensity hog production facility,
you
know, and disease gets in. You gotta cull, all the great euphemisms, but there's other, like, we got the bonsai tree. His secret, like his private place, is a little greenhouse. They all live in these interesting houses. They all want to be in nature, but they're all involved in a job that is about resource extraction, i.e. the destruction of nature. How did you read that? Like that basically the trees, the fruit, the growing things in the film. What were your thoughts? Like,
it's sort of a thing, and these aren't the biggest countries either. It's not like Canada where you have millions of square miles of boreal forest and that kind of thing. You have several probably nature reserves, and that might be the extent of it. So it's not like, everything's finite, but it's not like we have here in Canada. But when I lived in Japan, there was often, it was funny, very urban country, of course. But you'd get like I still remember this one whiskey ad that was just like autumn and a leaf kind of falling from a tree and floating into a still pond. And there's sort of like an ongoing theme, visual theme. And it just sort of, like, oh, I got to get out to the woods. Like, it would have this sort of, it wouldn't affect me. The whiskey part, it was like, I got to have a glass of whiskey, but it would be like, yeah, I got to get outside more. And so I think that's an ongoing kind of thing for them where they would, there's perhaps a love of nature, but also the fact it's
they're pulp men.
Yeah. And
it ends on that note of automated clear cutting.
Yeah, they're growing. These, well, Japan's not really growing, but 125 million people on 4 kind of medium-sized islands, for instance. But they're pretty urban environments. So I think that's sort of an ongoing contradiction. I think of some of these Asian countries.
Yeah. Well, is it? But we could have that here, right?
Yeah.
I said it before we started the stream, but maybe I'll ask this question, because every now and then I see a movie where I'm like, why haven't we made this? Pulp and paper, forestry, big business in Manitoba, huge business in BC. Here's South Korea showing it's like, yeah, that's a business, a real business with a real plant and manufacturing and automation and all this stuff. Whereas I cannot name a Canadian film that looks at logging. Well, if they do look at it as an industry, it's logging, and it's always a guy in flannel.
Yeah.
This romanticism of it. And
from the workers level, yeah, exactly.
The worker that might not really actually exist anymore. It's like this fantasy that again, this romantic thing from the 19th century. When let's be honest, it's a terrifying job that killed a lot of people.
Well, yeah.
And now is probably a slightly safer job, a whole lot less of them because it's all automation and just contributing to the destruction of the planet. But why do you think we haven't made this movie, Jim?
Yeah.
Now, mind you, of course, we could have, and we just aren't familiar with it. But let's assume we haven't, for sake of this conversation.
I just had to look it up because I couldn't remember it, and it's not a great title. But Train Dreams was set close to Canada in northern Idaho, but yeah, that's not what you're asking for. Yeah,
well, that's a perfect example, though. I'm glad you brought it up because it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Let's look at how men worked out in the woods at this fantasy time.
Yeah, there's lots of blind spots, I think, in Canadian cinema, and I'm sure there's been theses written about them, but yeah, we don't really do too much. Is there even a lot of corporate stuff done? Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. Yeah, I always wanted there to be, like I've mentioned before, I've always wanted there to be a Canadian Mad Max, which is, not impossible, but I don't think at an Arduat counts, although, but yeah, I mean, it
40 acres maybe.
Yeah, that's sort of getting close, and still have props to that one, the sequence shot in the dark, or mostly in the dark. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. I don't think we've touched it. Maybe I'm misremembering, but we tend not to do a lot of corporate stuff here. Maybe that's because a lot of the head offices aren't in Canada. I'm not sure why.
But this guy isn't a head office guy.
Yeah.
Plant manager.
Mm-hmm.
Like let me propose this as a possibility. Again, we're not, what, it shows a hole in my own watchography.
Yeah.
Film library, film viewing library. But if I'm right, and we haven't made this stuff, is it in part because, on the one hand, our industry is so plugged into what the Americans make, when we make something, we're not making it for, let's say, Canadian consumption. We're making it for North American consumption. And all the biases that come with that. That's one part of a possible answer. Another part may be, if you do look at real indie, other than Indigenous and maybe Quebecois film, we're talking English Canada, English-speaking Canada, it's a romanticization of the past, I've said this before, I am open to being told wrong. Actually, I want to be told I'm wrong here, but there's a part of me thinking, it's all the petty bourgeois, or not petty bourgeois, upper middle class obsessions with urban living. Who am I going to date? How am my relationship? Very, let's say, liberal, talk superstructure, very liberal politics, gender and identity, like, let's say, identity stripped of class. Whereas here, you don't have you very much got a gender identity film going on here, but it is rooted, there is a class analysis going on here. There's a reason he's not a factory worker. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why he's worried about, the home, and I'll buy you a new racket and we can have it just like we had before.
Yeah.
What do you think? Does that, maybe, I'm not sure if there is anything to say on top of that. It more like a hypothesis that has to be tested, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, there is a certain amount there is a certain amount of limitations on what we look at in Canadian film. And it'd be interesting to sort of, I mean, it'd be a lot of work to put together a chart of all the sort of the more prominent, I won't say box office, winners or anything, but the more prominent Canadian films that are released. You have things like Blackberry that was, that's been out in the last few years that have to do with industry, but not the extractive industries that you're talking about. In the Skin of the Lion was about the creation of Toronto. So there's probably way more books than there are movies, but yeah, that's an interesting, question. I was going to say too, I watched a video from Hannah from Korea on YouTube. And it was quite, and she was talking about did Parasite do so well in Korea as opposed to No Other Choice. No Other Choice was hailed the world over. It made decent money. The rest of the world was not appreciated at home. And I just to boil down her argument, and you should watch her own video. Was that
see if I can find it?
Unlike, I think the name of her channel is just Hannah from Korea. Unlike Parasite, it was a little too close to home. Like it was just like, this is directly reflecting what's going on now in the country, and people did not like that. So that's
an interesting.
Yeah. I can't remember what she said about Parasite and how it differed. I think she was talking about sort of, a family working its way up rather than a family sort of being forced down or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing her badly, but go and watch it for yourself. It's about a 17-minute video or something. It's quite good.
I've also found a Hannah Smith talking about the generational impacts of capitalism. I will put that. It's Double Exposure, Columbia University. So she probably doesn't mention Palestine. Otherwise, we'd like, oh my goodness. Okay, I will look that up. Unless it's the link comes to you first, Jim. But I'll look that up and I'll pin it. I'll put it in a pinned comment below. All right, Jim. I think we're getting near the end game here. Although we could talk for another couple of hours on this film. There's so much going on here. I will not get to the multiple pages. Like we didn't even talk about marriages. But there is gender is linked here. Like whether it be the actor, her and her. Ooh, Vlad65 is in the chat.
Oh, hey. Oh, yeah. Hey. How's it going? I'm like, whose name is that again? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Waltz Flickspix in the chat. Go. Good to see you, man. But about this film, you've got multiple marriages. One's failed, one is failing, another one's gone through some really rough times. And each one of these men just straight up, they ignore their wives. Even when, like, there's Miri at the end, like he has a moment to continue criming, but with a willing participant. Just like even one
spoiler alert, Walt.
If one piece of paper can be lifted. Easier to lift. One sheet of paper is even one sheet of paper is easier to lift with four hands. And like she is just desperate for him to go, yeah, I need your help. Just as he is desperate to deny it, even though she is the only one who has kept their operation afloat at all.
Yes. Yeah.
Seen through the tough stuff. put him back together, I think, supported him. Like, even when he finally, it's like he finally cracks and says, listen, I promise I'll find another job in 3 months.
9 months later.
Finally, like, to tell her, although he's, going through the out process with the BS corporate, it's not your fault and you're still a good person, all that corporate crap. Trust us, we'll make you feel better about screwing you. She's there. Listen, it's going to be okay. And afterwards, what does she do? She sits down, and she's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And then she's the one with the plan. The actor and the drunk have their own troubles drinking. And maybe that's what Hannah is talking about. Like, it's not just this, the let's say the big picture capitalist aspect of it all, but just these guys and them drinking themselves to death, destroying their families, all for job, like the job and the status the job brings. And this idea that I am this guy, she says, you need a smaller car because I'm the one driving the kids around. It's just, like, Jesus, there's so much here.
There's I love, a couple of things that got me going is that shot when he comes back from the first guy, his first target, and he's going down the sort of lonely mountain road, and his target passes him by him in the car when he knows that the wife is in there with the guy that she's having an affair with, and he kind of goes, whoa, there's like a bam, bam, bam shot. It's just so well, and then you have all these sort of, drone shots and the transition shots. There's one great drone sort of transition shot, and it's this movie's
it's a great filmmaking,
jam packed with all kinds of stuff. And I agree with you what you said earlier, that it is the one of his that I most enjoyed, that I bought into it. I was enjoyed his other ones, but this one I really, really liked. I quite liked it.
Well, I've got a couple kind of wrap up questions.
Sure.
But before that, I'll say Vlad65, Walt's Flicks Picks, friend of the channel. Go check him out. He says, I need to see this. Yes, you do, Walt. Yeah. And one could say that's our see it or skip it in a nutshell. See it! But he says, wait. He says, and I finally just watched How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Clearly, this is not a musical.
No.
No, it is not.
Although,
anyway, sorry, Jim, I interrupted. What were you about to say?
No, I was going to say we should do this more often, but you can watch it on Mubi, which has as Rob pointed out to me, has got a 7-day free trial on it currently.
If you go through Prime. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what I did. I was on Prime and did that. Apparently, I can't. We all serve capital, Jim. As my prick of a father used to say. So I've drastically reduced my Amazon spending, radically reduced it. But there are some things where it's like, I've not been able to get rid of them. Prime's one of them. So
yeah.
All right, Jim. Let me ask you. Okay, let's do the formal. Jim, no other choice. Is it a see it or skip it?
The highest of see it's for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% see it. Okay. Let me, before we wind it up here, what I think we've talked a lot about this, but if you were to summarize the film, if you could summarize the film in a question the filmmaker's asking, what's the question he's asking of us as an audience? You know, what do you think?
I would think he would be saying something like, "Do you think this doesn't apply to you?" A wink.
Oh. That's a good one. Ooh, I like that. All right, let me ask this. I think you already said it, but I think it bears repeating. Will you rewatch this film? Do you see yourself rewatching this film?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a while. You know, there's so many other movies out there right now that that I'd love to watch and I'm behind on, and shows and stuff. But yeah, I definitely, this is a keeper. Yeah, if I could, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if there's gets the DVD treatment, but it would be a good one to have, actually.
Yeah. For me, yeah, it's gonna go. I've started for film, much like I do for books. I've started these what I call revisit lists. I put them in as a calendar reminder, and I, kind of pick a date in the future. And I think I'm going to do it for this. I'm going to, like you say, you got to set it aside. But even after these conversations, Jim, in 3 days, I'm going to be, and this, and this, and this.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it is because of how we talk about it. And so, yeah, I got to put it at least a week so I can have those things percolate. And then, yeah, I think, it might be a week from now, it might be 6 months from now, but I am going to rewatch it specifically because there's so much going on. It's so good. It's so dense. I'm going to, note my questions, and I'm going to rewatch it. And I'm going to go, oh, that's what was going on there. Oh, that was a false thing. Didn't Jim mention that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not only do I think this will be one of those ones where I will remember it in a way that the other two, I mean, I remember Old Boy, but I can't say it's like, boy, that was an experience. The one, what was that?
Desire to Leave? No.
Desire to Leave. Yes.
No, not Desire to Leave.
Decision to Leave.
Decision to Leave.
Yeah,
something like that.
Leaving was involved.
Yeah.
That one, maybe I will take another look at that, but I can't say it's stuck with me in the same way I think this will stick with me. Now, some of it's also, certain films appeal to your sensibilities. This one appeals to the sensibilities, and the let's say the politics of the film really appealed to me.
Yeah. But there might be the Don McKellar factor too. Sort of levels it out.
Well, and there I am. Not 5 minutes ago, I'm crapping on Canadian film, but here's Don McKellar.
Yeah.
A great Canadian filmmaker in his own right,
distinct
helping
voice.
make this movie. Yeah. So maybe, you know what? It won't be the first time on Jim Rob Overanalyzed Movies that Rob is just full of So yeah, on that note, Jim, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, a couple things. They briefly mentioned, okay, I'll do the quick lightning round. They briefly mentioned the Korean experience in Vietnam, which I did not know about. And now my algorithm is full of it, especially on YouTube, which is kind of interesting.
And a North Korean gun.
Yeah.
Referenced or something that he pulled off of Viet Cong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's other things too that they don't bring attention to too much. There's a whole snakes versus eels. The people that like eels call them eels. People that don't call them snakes.
Yeah.
There's Manju's knowledge of plants. He corrects the realtor that it's not a red pine, it's a white pine, or vice versa. The title is mentioned so many times. Most times that the title has been mentioned in the movie, no other choice. The actual phrase "no other choice" is mentioned so many times. And the other thing too I wanted to mention was the two leads are fantastic. We've seen these folks before. I think the Manju was in that crazy Western that you and I
years ago,
15 years ago or something. Yeah, we had a sort of a movie night at your house.
The good, the bad, and the crazy.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I brought some kimchi that
yeah,
from the Safeway deli that evening to be thematically correct, and
the good, the bad, and the weird.
Yes, that's it. So yeah, there's tons going on, but I think he's the guy in the suit there at the side.
Oh yeah, the handsome bastard.
Yeah.
I think he's the bad guy,
you could be
but
you could be a movie star before he shoots him to death. But yeah, no, the two leads are great, and Miri, perhaps Asian actresses don't get as much credit, but Ye-jin is the name, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. I apologize. I thought she was fantastic, steely, and kind of, you didn't exactly know 100% what she was thinking about, but she was thinking about something. So great role for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's my.
I'm glad you brought that up. You're absolutely right. All the performances are solid. The way, even there's a nice little moment, first act, in the fun and games. He hasn't killed anyone yet, where
the light section of the film,
spying on the drunk and the actor. That's what I'm going to call them. Sorry, the Gu Byung-mo. And then, so Byung-mo and then Ara. She's Ara, he's Byung-mo. And they're almost about to be like, have a moment, and then they fight over paper, of course. And then later on, when he's trying to get it on with Miri, he is stealing the lines he overheard his soon-to-be first victim use. And I'm just like, that's awesome. Like, that's just such a nice little damn.
I love that his first victim too is like, I'm a completely analog individual and I love paper. I only take pictures on film and I listen to vinyl on my turntable. And I just thought, man, how is this guy not the hero these days?
Well, and that, I think I had mentioned earlier, this is what I want to add. I'd mentioned it earlier, they do in my spoiler-free comments, but we're well past that. Deep in the spoiler zone, just wrapping up how they use, there are 3 victims of murder here. One he doesn't kill, who's a sad sack. The first person he murders is a guy who should have all our sympathy.
Yeah.
Whereas Mansu, he is tough to sympathize with. And I think part of what's the neat trick about this film is by the end of it, you're still kind of pulling for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, his second, where unlike Choi is, I think it's Ko Si-jo. Versus Choi Seon-chul, the plant manager, kind of douchebag.
Yeah.
I had to live out. I can't be married to you. I need to live out here in the middle of nowhere. There's a guy willing to do what needs to be done, provide for his family. Yeah, it's a come down, Yeah, he's in a terrible, desperate situation. He only gets the commission if Buddy comes back and buys through him.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the worst of capitalism. But here's the guy, if you wanted to make a film about the triumph of the human spirit or some BS, you'd make it about that guy.
Yes.
But no, he's just another victim from somebody who's more ruthless.
The type of guy.
Two guys who should be pulling together to fight the man. How an American would make this film, I think. You know, think Trading Places. It's like, nope, I'm gonna bump you off, even though everything about you is me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
The type of guy that would pull his car over to help you out when you had car trouble.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
So, yeah. Oh, I'm a mechanic. I have some skills.
And he's all nice.
Part of his
you
research.
Could be a movie star, as I mentioned before. It's just like, how am I going to kill this guy?
Yeah. Well, and I think there's the coming back to what you're saying about that question. How did you put it? How different are we? Are we really that different from Mansu? Because at the end of it, I'm bizarrely still kind of pulling for him.
Yeah, and I think that's Lee Byung-hun is the actor, and probably a lot on the strength of his performance too. Yeah.
Oh, the first murder victim.
Manju is Lee Byung-hun. So props to him anyway.
Yes. Yeah, it's always I'm the toughest thing reading these things. All right. Anyway, on that note, I want to say this is a great movie. This is a great show. Great conversation with you, Jim.
Yeah. It's been a while, so it's good to get back on the horse.
And was such a good movie.
Yeah.
It's like, however we came to this conclusion to watch this one, I'm so glad we did. And, it's an interesting note that it made a short list. But I'm like, I have no problem saying to anyone, check out this film. Kind of a bummer. You know what? Oh, that leads me. My last question. How did you feel at the end of this film? When you watch it that first time, at the end, how did you feel?
Well, I was, like I said before, I didn't know how it was going to end. So I was surprised that how it ended. Like everything was sort of lining up with him getting nailed for it. And, he didn't. So that was kind of interesting. Like I was kind of like, oh, they actually did it. They actually, almost like the ending of Begonia is like, and I won't spoil it here, but it's just, they better end this way. Oh my God, they did do it that way. So it was kind of it was a
gutsy choice.
Big gutsy choice. Yeah. So I was very pleased with it.
For me,
a bummer and kind of sad, but I don't take glee in the murder and the handling of body parts and things like that. And
even just it is sad, especially I think the emotional hit. You've got him and his kind of pathetic end. I don't know. Like his end is one thing. Miri's end. Even her son, who is still friends with his co-conspirator in stealing from the guy's father. But there's the daughter. She finally gets to hear her play. But and see her daughter smile, but she's not playing for her mother.
Yeah.
She's even her mother doesn't understand what she's doing. I'm going to take the paper away. You got to eat, any parent, I'm sure you've done all right, enough of that until you finish your supper. But she doesn't even understand what you're doing. And then we see that the girl has colored in little squares, again, like a jacquard loom, to make music, like a player piano. Like there's all this stuff going on here in this moment, making this beautiful music. You see her, she's only happy with the dogs, Me Too and Me 3, which is just nuts.
Yeah. No, that's tons going on in this. It's a great film.
All right. Well, On that note, thank you all. Thanks to our man in Chennai, Shashank Vachari, of course, Walt's Flicks Picks, Vlad65, our good friend, Jim's good personal friend out in BC, and anyone else who sees this or watches it later, please feel free to give us a like, a subscribe, and maybe a ringy ding of that bell. All right, let's think we're ready.